The night the impossible happened, June 11th, 1962. Midnight. 3 prisoners vanish from their locked cells on Alcatraz Island, the most secure prison in the world. The guards are stunned. The doors? Locked. The bars? Unbroken. But the beds are not empty. They discover lifelike dummy heads made of soap, cement, and human hair where the prisoners should have been. The real men? Gone, into the dark waters of San Francisco Bay. No one had ever escaped Alcatraz. The currents were deadly. The guards too watchful. The walls too thick. Yet somehow, these men had disappeared without a trace. Were they drowned by the icy waves? Or did they pull off the greatest prison escape in American history? Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on the notification bell to follow this incredible story as we uncover every secret of Alcatraz. To understand how this moment became possible, we need to go back to where it all began. Alcatraz wasn't just a prison. It was a fortress, a gray slab of rock sitting in the middle of the cold San Francisco Bay, surrounded by water so strong and freezing, even expert swimmers wouldn't dare cross it. Built in the 1930s, Alcatraz was America's answer to crime's worst nightmares, a place to send the most dangerous and most hopeless. Gangsters, escape artists, lifers with nothing to lose. Every brick screamed control. Every cell whispered despair. Prisoners called it hell on the rock. Guards called it inescapable. Among those sent here was Frank Lee Morris, a man with a quiet mind and a sharp brain. He had escaped from prison before. Not once, but 3 times. The authorities thought Alcatraz would break him. They were wrong. Inside those cold gray walls, Morris found 2 brothers, John and Clarence Anglin. They had grown up swimming in icy rivers and robbing banks together. They knew each other's thoughts without speaking. The trio formed a quiet bond and noticed a weakness in the prison, a space barely big enough to fit a hand, but enough to spark an idea. Using stolen tools, a spoon here, a drill bit there, they began to carve. Every night, while the guards patrolled, they scraped away at the concrete, quietly humming to cover the noise. They created dummy heads from soap, cement, and hair, built a secret workshop above the cell block, and slowly turned scraps into survival tools. Raincoats became life vests, and wood planks became paddles. For months, they worked in silence, building their plan, a homemade raft strong enough to cross the deadly bay. The guards had no clue. The men seemed calm, polite, harmless. But behind their cold stares, they were planning the impossible. And then, the night came. June 11th, 1962. Frank Morris checks his cell one last time. The air smells of salt and iron. He places the dummy head on his pillow, staring blankly into the darkness. Beside him, the Anglin brothers do the same. One by one, they slip into the vent holes they had dug for months, squeezing through the narrow openings behind their cells. Their hearts pound as they climb up a maze of pipes toward the prison's roof. Above them, freedom waits. Below them, one mistake means certain death. They reach the roof, drag their homemade raft to the edge, lower it down with a rope, and vanish into the shadows. By morning, the alarms ring. Guards rush in, but it's too late. The prisoners of Alcatraz, the ones who were never supposed to escape, are gone. But what happened next remains one of America's greatest mysteries. Did they drown in the freezing currents? Or did they reach the shore, alive, free, and silent? The hunt begins by dawn. Alcatraz is in chaos. The guards comb every cell, corridor, and corner, but the prisoners have vanished without a trace. The warden, alarmed and furious, calls in the Coast Guard, the FBI, and local law enforcement. The entire San Francisco Bay is searched, boats crisscrossing, helicopters scanning, but there is no sign of Frank Morris or the Anglin brothers. Investigators study the dummy heads. They are lifelike, frighteningly convincing. The prisoners had even put in tiny details, strands of hair, painted eyes, enough to fool guards during a bed check. The escape was clever, genius even. But the question on everyone's mind, did they survive the bay? The waters around Alcatraz are treacherous, cold, strong currents capable of sweeping even the strongest swimmer out to sea. Boats, debris, and life rafts had been found, but nothing that confirmed the prisoners made it to land. Meanwhile, inside Alcatraz, fear spreads. Other prisoners whisper about the daring escape, some inspired, others terrified. If 3 men could vanish from the inescapable prison, What did that mean for the rest of them? Clues in the shadows. Days pass. Weeks pass. No bodies are found. Then strange things start happening. Letters, postcards, and even personal belongings surface years later, some claiming, "We made it. We're alive." The FBI reopens files. Reports emerge of sightings along the West Coast. People resembling the escapees seen in small towns, living quiet lives. But none of these sightings can be confirmed. Some experts believe the trio drowned in the bay. Others insist they were clever enough to reach freedom, perhaps disappearing forever into the crowd. The mystery grows. Books, documentaries, and theories flood the public imagination. Alcatraz becomes more than a prison. It becomes a legend. And yet, despite decades of investigation, the ultimate question remains. Did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers escape, or did the icy waters claim them that night? To understand the escape, we need to understand the men. Frank Morris, calm, calculated, and brilliant. He had studied the prison inside out, noticing patterns in guard schedules and weaknesses in the structure. The Anglin brothers, strong, fearless, and determined, brought skills no one else had: swimming in freezing waters, improvising tools, and enduring months of backbreaking work. Together, they planned every detail. Every scrap of scrap metal, every stolen spoon, every vent they dug. It was part of a carefully choreographed plan. Their escape wasn't luck. It was a masterpiece of patience, intelligence, and nerve. And it leaves us with one burning question. Even if they survived that night, where did they go? The clues that shook the nation. Months pass, and the FBI continues its relentless search. Every inch of San Francisco Bay is scanned. Every boat, dock, and shoreline is checked. Yet the three men remain missing. Then, strange reports begin to trickle in. A fisherman claims to have seen men resembling the escapees in a small coastal town, living quietly, blending in. A woman writes to a local newspaper, saying she saw two brothers resembling the Anglins carrying crates late at night. Investigators examine the evidence. They find remnants of the homemade raft washed up on Angel Island, battered but intact. Raincoat fragments hint that the men may have survived the icy waters. Even stranger, years later, the FBI receives a handwritten letter. "We made it. Life is hard, but we're alive." No signatures, no addresses. The handwriting matches the style of the Anglin brothers. The public is fascinated. Newspapers run stories. The FBI releases documents, and theories explode. Did they really make it? Did they disappear into the shadows to live new lives? The legend of Alcatraz grows bigger than the prison itself. The impossible escape now becomes one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. Experts in criminology, survival, and swimming analyze the escape. Some argue the currents and cold water would have killed even the strongest swimmers. Others calculate that the homemade raft, combined with life vests made from raincoats, gave the men a real chance to survive. Former guards and prison historians study the planning. They marvel at how the trio exploited tiny weaknesses, used dummy heads, and timed everything with surgical precision. But despite all the analysis, no definitive answer emerges. The FBI eventually closes the case, listing the three men as missing and presumed drowned. Yet, whispers and sightings continue decades later. Alcatraz remains a symbol of control, fear, and the limits of human ingenuity. And the question that haunts historians, writers, and true crime fans alike remains: did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers survive? Or did the icy waters of San Francisco Bay finally claim the infamous escapees? Decades pass, but the story of Alcatraz's most famous escape refuses to fade. In the 1970s and 1980s, people reported sightings of men who looked like Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers. Small towns in California, Arizona, and even Brazil claimed mysterious strangers fitting their descriptions. Some were seen withdrawing money, buying supplies, or just walking through crowded streets, careful, quiet, and unassuming. In 2013, the FBI released previously unseen files on the escape. Inside were photographs, sketches, and even letters, some hinting the brothers may have lived in South America. Though none were confirmed, the evidence sparked excitement and debate among historians and true crime enthusiasts. Then there's the famous postcard received by authorities years after the escape. It read, "Greetings from somewhere far away." Life is not easy, but freedom is worth it. The handwriting resembled John Anglin's. No one knew if it was real or a cruel hoax. Even today, researchers continue to hunt for answers. Satellite images, genealogy websites, and modern forensic tools have been used to try to trace the men's possible descendants or secret lives. The legend of Alcatraz continues to grow, a symbol of daring, ingenuity, and the ultimate human desire for freedom. But one question still burns in every historian's mind. Did these men escape successfully, or did the waters finally claim them, leaving only rumors and legends behind? Inside the minds of the escapees, the success of the Alcatraz escape didn't come from luck. It came from careful planning, patience, and sheer determination. Frank Morris was the mastermind. Calm, intelligent, and meticulous, he studied the prison for months. He memorized guard schedules, routines, and weaknesses in the cell block. Every detail mattered, from the sound of footsteps on metal stairs to the timing of bed checks. The Anglin brothers brought strength, endurance, and courage. Growing up swimming in icy rivers, they had learned how to handle cold water and dangerous currents. They were also patient craftsmen, able to carve, drill, and shape tools from whatever scraps they could find. Together, the three men executed a plan that seemed impossible. They widened vent holes in their cells without detection, built dummy heads from soap, cement, and hair, created a hidden workspace in the cell block ceiling, crafted paddles and life vests from raincoats, constructed a raft capable of carrying them across the freezing bay. Every step was calculated, every risk measured. Even the smallest mistake, a loud scrape, a misaligned vent, or a missing rope, could have been fatal. But the men were patient. They worked slowly, quietly, and secretly for months. And when the night finally came, they put their plan into action flawlessly. The daring escape was more than physical skill. It was a test of intelligence, courage, and nerve. Yet, despite all the planning, one question remains. Did their genius allow them to survive, or were they finally claimed by the merciless waters of San Francisco Bay? The search that shocked America. As soon as dawn broke on June 12, 1962, the authorities launched the largest manhunt in San Francisco Bay history. The Coast Guard scoured every inch of water around Alcatraz. Helicopters hovered overhead, searching for any sign of the three men. Boats combed the shoreline, docks, and piers. Inside the prison, guards re-examined the cells, vent holes, and hidden passageways. But the men had vanished without a trace. Reports poured in from local communities. Fishermen saw three men matching the escapees' descriptions on remote beaches. Truck drivers spotted them in small towns carrying crates in the dead of night. Residents claimed they recognized the brothers from wanted posters, though the sightings were never confirmed. The media quickly picked up the story. Newspapers ran bold headlines. Alcatraz escapees vanish in a thin air. The impossible has happened. Authorities questioned friends and relatives of the Anglins. Every lead was followed, every tip investigated, yet nothing concrete appeared. The public was captivated. Alcatraz was no longer just a prison. It became a legend. Three men, supposedly trapped forever, had seemingly disappeared, challenging the limits of law, logic, and human endurance. But the mystery only deepened. Some believed the men drowned in the icy waters that night. Others were certain they had reached freedom and quietly vanished into the world. And even today, the debate continues. Did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers survive, or did the Bay finally claim the daring escapees? The mystery that never died, decades passed, but the legend of Alcatraz's most famous escape refused to fade. In the 1970s and 1980s, there were whispers of sightings. Small towns in California reported strangers matching the Anglin brothers' descriptions. People claimed to see them working quietly in shops, walking along rivers, or disappearing into crowds. None of these sightings could ever be confirmed, but they kept the mystery alive. In 2013, the FBI released previously classified documents. Among them were photos, letters, and witness statements hinting that the men may have survived. One letter, written years after the escape, read, "We made it. Life is not easy, but freedom is worth it." It was unsigned, but handwriting experts suggested it could have been John Anglin. Researchers and historians pored over the clues. Some believed the men drowned in the freezing waters. Others argued that their careful planning, strength, and ingenuity made survival possible. Even today, enthusiasts use modern technology, satellite images, genealogy research, and forensic analysis to trace possible descendants or uncover hidden clues. Alcatraz, once known as the prison no one could escape, had become a symbol of human ingenuity, daring, and the eternal mystery of freedom. And the question that has haunted generations remains: did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers live to see freedom, or did the icy waters finally claim them that night? The escape that became legend, the story of Alcatraz's most famous escape, has inspired countless books, documentaries, and movies. It's the ultimate tale of human ingenuity, courage, and the unrelenting desire for freedom. Experts continue to debate the outcome. Some insist that the men drowned in the freezing, fast-moving waters of San Francisco Bay. Others argue that the clever planning, careful preparation, and homemade life vests made survival possible. Some modern researchers have even suggested the trio may have reached the mainland and started new lives under new identities. Clues remain scattered, letters claiming the men survived. Eyewitness reports decades after the escape. Pieces of the homemade raft found on nearby islands. Despite decades of investigation, the truth has never been confirmed. Alcatraz itself stands as a monument, a fortress built to hold the most dangerous prisoners. Yet, it was also a stage for one of the greatest and most daring escapes in history. The legend of Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers continues to fascinate. It's a story of meticulous planning, courage, and the human spirit's relentless drive for freedom. Even today, people visit the island, imagining that fateful night. They ask the same question that has captivated generations: did they escape successfully, or did the waters finally claim them? The answer remains a mystery, one that may never be solved. The story of Alcatraz's impossible escape reminds us that the human spirit can challenge even the most unbreakable walls. 3 men vanished into history, leaving behind a legend that continues to intrigue and inspire. What do you think really happened? Did Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers survive, or were they claimed by the icy waters of San Francisco Bay? Let us know your theories in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to follow more incredible true crime stories.